Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajat Ali. And, it's nice to have weekends during Trump's second administration because everything is just so chill and calm. Nothing is on fire and there's nothing to worry about. Right, Danielle?
Yes, it's totally okay. Like
Everything
you don't
is fine.
you don't wake up to news like, insanity, which we'll talk about the fire and all of those things. But we're going to start today, folks, because there's a lot of legal news. There are a lot of things that are happening in our judiciary. And a federal judge on Sunday night blocked the Trump administration from sending federalized National Guard to Portland. Okay. So what Donald Trump wanted to do was send about 300 members of the California National Guard to Portland, Oregon, because a judge, this same judge, Karin Immergut, blocked his ability to use Oregon's own National Guard. So Donald Trump said, well, if I can't use Oregon's National Guard, then I'll just pick any other state. I'll use California. I'll use Texas. I'll do whatever. So a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from sending members from California or any other state to the streets of Portland, Oregon. In a rare late Sunday night virtual hearing, U.S. District Judge Karin Immergut granted the motion for a temporary restraining order filed by the state of California, which asked her to prevent the deployment of up to 300 members of the California National Guard. The decision from Immergut, a Trump appointee, folks.
There you go.
Why this is such big news today. She is a Trump appointee. She is somebody that Donald Trump in his first administration appointed and praised her for following law and order and all of these things. Came a day after she blocked Trump's attempt to deploy the Oregon National Guard troops in Portland. So earlier Sunday, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he would sue the Trump administration after it deployed the federalized troops, National Guard members called into service by the president to Oregon. Newsom said this is a breathtaking abuse of law and power. The Trump administration is unapologetically attacking the rule of law itself and putting into action their dangerous words, ignoring court orders and treating judges, even those appointed by the president himself, as political opponents. Wash.
I was up late and I saw that happen and I was like, whoa. And that is some good news because you mentioned two really important things, that Judge Immergut is not a flaming lefty, Obama appointee, a Trump appointed judge. Furthermore, it wasn't just relegated to National Guard from California. It was from any state. Third, she was mighty pissed. She did a back-to-back temporary restraining order, right? So this was the second. She did the first one on, I think, Saturday, and this one was on Sunday. And then she went in front of the Trump lawyers, folks. She was pissed. She's like, it seems like you are deliberately disobeying my orders, right? And so the fact that she has stepped in and the fact that you have Trump appointed judges and even, Democrat appointed judges doing their part shows you, in my opinion, some level of consistent resistance. Now, we know, Daniel, this Trump administration is loosey-goosey with the law. We know that Stephen Miller has claimed that we're under invasion, we're under war, which is why he invoked the Alien Enemies Act. I want everyone to remember that the Supreme Court, in one of the only rare rebukes of this administration, otherwise it's been like straight up green light, said, no, we're not under invasion. You can't invoke the Alien Enemies Act. I also want to remind you, the judge here in D.C. literally, remember he told them as the plane was taking off with 200 more than 200 brown tattooed legal immigrants without due process, including Kilmar Abrego Garcia, turn that mother effer around. What do? Whoopsie. The plane is international law.
It's left, so
we can't do it. And then it took a sustained effort. And even then, the lies that they spread against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, how they defamed him, right? Even though it was ICE itself who said, whoopsie, we got Kilmar by accident. He shouldn't have been sent. He's a legal resident. But they refused to admit that their mistake. They're so cruel, folks, that even after ICE voluntarily admitted Kilmar Abrego Garcia was accidentally sent, They have spent months defaming him. Caroline Levitt has, Pam Bondi has, Kristi Noem has, Stephen Miller has, right? So the point I'm trying to tell you is this is a rogue administration that does not care about the rule of law. However, we have to take the wins where we can. The fact that this judge late at night said you cannot send any National Guard members, any Gestapo, anyone, you cannot use these people as your personal Gestapo to terrorize these blue cities. And the fact that she was pissed shows me some growing resistance, Danielle, some growing resistance. And if that slows down the machine, that's a win.
Because I think that what's important here to understand is exactly what you just ended on, which is what it looks like to slow this machine down. It does not mean that you can stop it or that one action will stop it. But what it does mean is that we should be doing everything inside and outside of our power to slow it down, right? To present pushback and not just lay down and allow them to do whatever it is that they want to do. Because what we are seeing is that they essentially take the rule of law as like a suggestion and that it is not actually the rule of law. Because if they don't like, right, what the judge is saying, and again, they have created this dichotomy where if it is red versus blue, it is MAGA versus everybody else, it is democracy versus fascism. And if it is a Democratic judge, they might as well not even sit before that judge because they're not going to listen to what it is that they have to say. So it is important that what this judge did, and what I'm noticing too, Waj, and I don't know if you notice this, it's always women. It is, I swear to God, it is always women.
It's like 80% women.
80%. 80% women that are coming in that are always willing to go toe to toe with this fucking administration and this president. And so it is important, even though, as Clarence Thomas said, he don't give a fuck about nobody's precedent anymore, that these judges do create precedent and do create a map for other federal judges that are going to be facing the same type of issues when Donald Trump comes to their states. They are laying the groundwork, and it's incredibly important. Why? Because what is happening and what else happened over the weekend? Lord have mercy. This. So this fire happens at the Edisto Beach home of South Carolina Judge Diane Goodstein. Her house, her beach house, exploded into fire. Her husband, who is an ex-senator, Arnold Goodstein, and relatives were inside. So I want you folks, because the videos are going around. I don't have the video, but we have this image.
That's a big home, folks.
They were inside the home, and they had to jump out of windows and be rescued by kayak, right? By kayak. So they escaped. And this is what I want folks to understand. Stephen Miller, days before, and we'll get into more detail of what he had done, had gone on social media to talk about quote unquote left-wing terror networks. And so what did that do? Well, it amped up the right-wing influencers who spread viral claims against the Goodsteins, including that there was a $61 million bankruptcy rumor. I don't know why they hate bankruptcy so much, because their king is the king of bankruptcy. And the fact is, folks, this is not just a fire. This is a warning shot. This is domestic terrorism. This is what this looks like when you allow and you literally stoke flames, spread lies, and then want to put hands off and be like, well, what did I say? I didn't say anything. I want to remind folks that when the Fox News guy, Brian Kilmeade, got on air and said that, oh, homeless people, why don't we just lethally inject them? What happened a few days later? A homeless man was lynched.
That's right.
Right? And what happened days after that? There were gunshots at a homeless encampment. Okay? That's following what he said on Fox News. So now you have Stephen Miller, who is on talking about judges and legal insurrection, which we will get to. And what happens? Oh, mysteriously, after a judge rules against Donald Trump, her home goes up in flames.
It's even worse.
Here.
It's even worse, and there's more correlation. There's more folks within the MAGA, if you will, industry who have attacked judges. Yesterday, Elon Musk attacked judges. Elon Musk is the one who went after judges, and I have a tweet that's viral right now where I ask Elon Musk, any thoughts about South Carolina Judge Goodstein's home burning to the ground in an apparent alleged act of arson that almost killed her family? You tweeted against judges today, so I'm curious if you feel you engage in some dangerous, hateful rhetoric. Because remember, for the past 3 weeks, Donald Trump, before any motive or suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk, blamed what, Danielle? They blamed
left-wing terrorism.
Left-wing terrorism, incitement to violence, left-wing indicators of violence. That's the national security memo that Ken Klippenstein found. Now there are indicators of left-wing violence, which includes thought crimes that they don't like. It's a huge story. It's the National Security Presidential Memo 7. Includes anti-ICE comments, anti-Christian comments. These are now indicators of left-wing violence. Remember how they say, you call us fascists, which is why there's violence against us. You call us Nazis. You're the one dialing up the temperature. So the same day that Elon Musk criticizes a judge, Judge Goodstein's house, it looks like an alleged act of arson, blows up, people almost die. Stephen Miller also attacks judges. Harmeet Dillon literally goes after this judge by name. Now, why did they go after this judge? I just want to read this real quick. This is from Time Magazine. The 69-year-old judge, Judge Goodstein, had received death threats in the weeks leading up to the fire, multiple sources told FITS News. Last month, Goodstein, who, by the way, is a Republican-appointed judge, had temporarily blocked the state's election commission from releasing its voter files to the Department of Justice, a decision that was openly criticized by Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, wait for it, Harmeet Dillon, and later reversed by the state Supreme Court. The DOJ had sought the information, including names, addresses, driver's license numbers, and social security numbers of over 3 million registered voters as part of Trump's March executive order restricting non-citizens from registering to vote.
I mean, look, what we know and what we are seeing, and you do not have to be a rocket scientist to understand this, is that anytime that anyone inside of Trump's MAGA regime speaks publicly, violence follows. It's
stochastic terrorism.
Plus B equals C. And so what are our actual Supreme Court justices saying about these attacks? Because here's the thing. This is what I also know to be true, is that what happens largely, and I don't know if this is just Americans or it's humans in general, but until shit starts to happen to a group that you are identified with, no one seems to actually take any action, right?
Human nature.
Pushback until it's you. So now judges are becoming a target, which we knew was going to happen.
Yep.
Right? That if you are not laying down for Donald Trump is going to come after you. This is a Gestapo dictator regime. That's what it is. So what are the judges saying? So a weekend house fire destroyed the home of South Carolina Judge Goodstein weeks after she issued the order against the Trump administration. Still, the incident has triggered new worry about judicial security at a time when Supreme Court justices themselves have publicly warned of rising hostility toward the judiciary. Why does this matter? The fire that destroyed the home of Judge Diane Goodstein, who serves on the State Circuit Court of South Carolina, though still under investigation with no known cause, has sharpened running long concerns about the safety and independence of the judiciary. Supreme Court justices from across the ideological spectrum have warned that escalating political attacks and threats against judges endanger not only individuals, but the rule of law itself. Maybe just a thought, you shouldn't have given the fucking maniac presidential immunity so that he can pass out pardons like fucking cocktail shrimp at a party. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. But nonetheless, now they're concerned. And so Chief Justice John Roberts has repeatedly addressed threats and violence directed at judges. Speaking at a recent American Law Institute's annual meeting, he said, quote, "A judicial system cannot and should not live in fear. The rule of law depends on judges being able to do their jobs without intimidation or harm." Roberts has linked this concern to the increasingly heated rhetoric surrounding court decisions, urging the disagreements with the rulings be expressed through legal reasoning, not with threats. And I'm just curious, Waj, which group is issuing threats?
I think I think it's the the 79-year-old white man who's trying to protect his store, who got slammed to the ground violently by ICE. I think it's 25-year-old or 31-year-old Kat Abu Ghazaleh with the scrunchie, who's 5'1", getting violently slammed to the floor by Chicago ICE. I think it's those kids who are zip tied by ICE. I think those are the flaming, insightful extremists. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's Donald Trump. Yes, it's Donald Trump, top down, who since his first administration has engaged in stochastic terrorism, gone after verbally the press, called them enemy of the state, now calls the U.S. citizens enemy from within, has gone after poll workers, has gone after judges, mocking and ridiculing judges who oppose him. I think it's Donald Trump who's gone after law enforcement and the FBI, calling them the deep state. I think it's Donald Trump who goes after Democrats. And oh yeah, what have we seen? A violent insurrection. We've seen an assassination attempt on Nancy Pelosi. She didn't open the door. It was Paul Pelosi. We've seen judges attacked. We've seen the son of a judge was killed. We've seen Melissa Hortman, her husband, her dog, killed by Vance Bolter, another Trump supporter. We've seen poll workers being harassed. We've seen doctors being harassed. We've seen teachers being harassed. And now we see.
I'm just going to say, like, that list that you
that was top of my head.
Go down, on top of which folks, I don't even think remember that Governor Josh Shapiro's house was firebombed, right? With a cocktail, thrown into the window and set part of the governor's mansion on fire. And that was several months ago. All of this has been happening at the hands of Donald Trump and his regime because of shit like this. So here is, I just, both of these tweets really get me, right? Will Stanfield says, Trump could have entered office, engaged in some corruption, let the GOP cut taxes for him, and played golf for 4 years and left in 2029 a rich man. But instead, he put Stephen Miller in charge, and Stephen Miller doesn't want to be rich. Stephen Miller wants to do fascism.
Every day.
So here is Stephen Miller. The issue before is now very simple and clear. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded. It is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorney generals. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks.
Told you. It's the world's worst I told you. If you've been watching Democracy-ish for a long time, thank you. If you're new, welcome. We have been saying for about a year now, ever since Donald Trump, was running about, right during the elections, that this man is going to set up martial law. And I had some friends over. I had a friend over yesterday, and my wife reminded the friend that our mutual friends, right, people who live in the suburbs here in the in DMV. When he was elected about 8 months ago, they asked me my honest opinion, Daniel. And I talked about this on the show. I said, listen, if you're asking me my honest opinion, I think things are going to get worse before they get better. I don't think this man's going to leave. I think he's going to try for martial law. Just to be safe, because we're people of color, just to be safe, make sure if you're married to a spouse who has dual citizenship, right? Canada, UK, get your passports nice and ready, right? I said, save some money, Danielle. I say, make sure you have money on the go if you need it. And I also said, just keep one eye open, just in case. because you won't be safe. Then I had these women come to me and tell me, stop talking to our husbands. You're scaring them. And I thought about it and wanted to apologize. But then I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to apologize. They asked me my opinion. I'm not a person who freaks out. They asked me my opinion. I gave them the honest opinion about where this country is headed, right? So, like, they need to know this. They need to listen to this, right? And now those very same people, Danielle, 8 months later, and going back to the point you made about 5 minutes ago, when it starts affecting people personally, then they care. When it was pro-Palestinian activists, people didn't care. When it was undocumented immigrants, people didn't care. When it was transgender students and athletes, people didn't care. Now that Jimmy Kimmel, a rich white man, almost got canceled, now that you have like one of the whitest places on earth, let's be honest, Portland, and people are getting their skulls cracked, now that the judges, freaking Republican appointed judges, are having their house burned down, now they care, Danielle, because what we've been saying on democracy-ish,
Yep.
trust the evidence of your eyes and your ears. He said in October, I'm going to unleash the National Guard and the military against the enemy from within. We have brought it up nearly every single show since October. He is selling his 2028 merch. It's not a joke. Stephen Miller used the word invasion and insurrection in the summer. It's not a joke. They're planning the Iraq stock fires. It's not a joke. And now, can you bring that tweet up one more time?
Mm-hmm.
Just look at that last line. Look at that last line, Danielle. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks. Isn't that what the Nazis claimed after the Reichstag fire, which then allowed them to implement martial law and elevate Hitler into a dictator?
Here's the thing. I think that one, and I've said this, and I am gonna start doing one-on-one interviews again, Waj, because there are some of our legal friends, our experts that we call on, that I really want to start digging into what happens when martial law comes. Because I think that people need to really fundamentally understand that when we get to that point, right? Like, we are ultimately, like, there is no peaceful way to fight back when there are tanks and military in the street telling you there are curfews, who's on curfew, who will be thrown up against walls, who will be detained on a regular basis. There is no peaceful way to push back against martial law. And so I want to start talking to legal experts, because there are things that folks need to do to prepare for that time to come, right? And I think that what you are seeing from these judges is that they are now scared. Yep. They are now recognizing that, wait a minute, they don't actually believe in the rule of law. They don't actually believe in, this isn't, we thought that this was just partisan debate. This isn't partisan debate. If they're not going to listen to legal determination, if those judges, like, here, I'm issuing this law, I'm issuing this ruling, and you're saying, that's nice, I don't give a fuck, then judges, lawyers, attorney generals, who Stephen Miller just called out by title, you're in trouble.
Yep.
Right? So if the administration is saying, I don't have to listen to you, so then no one is going to listen to you. Things will get out of control, and that is their reasoning for martial law. But what you are seeing state by state in these places where people are going, they are not giving Donald Trump the opportunity for martial law, because they're like doing dance protests. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, he wants all of this, right, is to escalate people to a place of utter and complete violence. And what is happening, at least what I am seeing, LA, Portland, all of these places. Oh, bring your gain down a little bit in your mic.
How's that?
Yeah, I think it's better. What is happening is that people are not, the violence is not escalating in the way that Donald Trump is praying for, in the way that all of them are praying for. And, and I think that that is going to be That's going to be the issue, is that he's not lawfully, but we know he doesn't care about the rule of law. He's not lawfully going to be able to issue martial law, because the people of this country, the people in these states that are being occupied, they're not pushing back in the way that he thinks that they were going to. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think the good news, folks, if there is any good news, is this is a weak administration. And you see the weakness in the past 2 weeks because the Reichstag fires that they wanted with the murder of Charlie Kirk didn't manifest. The Horst Wessel moment where they wanted to turn Charlie Kirk into a martyr worked for the base, but not for the normies. Their attempt to use the shooting of ICE detainees into another Reichstag fire didn't work. Donald Trump, folks, as of this week, the latest numbers have come out. He's negative double digits on the economy, on inflation. He's negative 10 on immigration. He has lost a popularity rating, right? People are fleeing from him. The economy is not good. Epstein files, people are pissed. They want it released. And about CNN's Harry Enton did the latest poll, about 60% of Americans are against this deployment. So when you have 60% of Americans against something, he was saying it's like a political loser. And then furthermore, as we've mentioned, his base is splintering. His base is splintering because they no longer believe the deep state. Candace Owens is going all out on conspiracy theories. They're really pissed off about Israel-Palestine. Over 80% of MAGA and Republicans, along with independents and Democrats, want the release of the Epstein files. And now you're seeing, Danielle, and I remember we predicted this also, the bros, the YouTube bros who rode Donald Trump to money, right? One of them, Aiden Ross, just one of these YouTube friggin' bullshit channels who literally took a video of himself partying and dancing with Donald Trump wearing a MAGA hat. You know what he did or last week? Regrets it. Says, oh, guys, I don't know. I don't know about politicians. Why can't we all just get along? Ooh, And everyone's like, shut the F up, mother effer. You can't backtrack. Andrew Schultz said everyone's saying, oh, your boy Donald Trump on. He goes, yo, he's not my boy. Right. So now all these white anti-woke people, I want to use the R word. I want to use the F word. I want to make fun of transgender folks. The people that he thanked for helping young men vote for Donald Trump in 2024, Danielle, they kind of realized, oh, this ain't good for my bottom line. Theo Vaughn criticized Donald Trump, right? But the stink, they can't wash it off, right? You can't wash it off. For me, I'm like, you better wear that MAGA hat. You wear that MAGA hat for another 2 years at least. But the problem, folks, is this. As they're getting more desperate, as they're losing people, they know they're losing, which is why they're ramping up like a cornered rat. All of this Gestapo martial law, right? They're going to bring everything down to stay in power. Donald Trump does not care about anybody except maybe Ivanka and himself, right? He will chew through everything, maybe. And literally, speaking about fire, if he has to chew through an electrical wire and that burns the house down, but that could save his life, he'll chew through the electrical wire, Daniel. And I think that's what you're seeing. What you're seeing is weakness.
Yeah. And, and here, look, again, Stephen Miller. So Joyce, who you should follow her. If you don't follow her, everybody follows her because her legal expertise is always on point. Post what Judge Immergut said, wrote in their decision. And I just want to read it. And then I'm going to read what Stephen Miller said. This case involves, this is Immergut down on the bottom, district judge. This case involves the intersection of three of the most fundamental principles in our constitutional democracy. The first concerns the relationship between the federal government and the states. The second concerns the relationship between the United States Armed Forces and domestic law enforcement. The third concerns the proper role of the judicial branch in ensuring that the executive branch complies with the laws and limitations imposed by the legislative branch. Whether we choose to follow what the Constitution mandates with respect to these three relationships goes to the heart of what it means to live under the rule of law in the United States. What does Stephen Miller do? Quote, tweets this and says the following. Legal insurrection. Legal insurrection. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, not an Oregon judge. Portland and Oregon law enforcement, at the direction of local leaders, have refused to aid ICE officers facing relentless terrorist assault and threats to life. I'm going to play you a clip soon. Hold this thought in your head. There are more local law enforcement officers in Oregon than there are guns and badges in the FBI nationwide. This is an organized terrorist attack on the federal government and its officers, and the deployment of troops is an absolute necessity to defend our personnel, our laws, our government, public order, and the republic itself. Okay? That's Stephen Miller. And again, his rhetoric, he keeps going. It's like Waj, he just keeps going up one, up one, up one.
Because who's going to stop him, Danielle?
Right. Trump's Homeland Security advisor now claiming, quote, an organized terrorist attack on the Department of Homeland Security. The core purpose of the organized terrorist attack on DHS is to reverse, through assault and assassination, the 2024 election mandate, which wasn't a fucking mandate. And you have to understand, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Waj, that this rhetoric coming from Stephen Miller is a sign of fucking weakness. Every single time that they feel like they are losing, they feel like the grips of power are slipping away from them, they amp this shit up on social media. And I'm telling you, I believe that people are starting to recognize that it is weakness. Your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. And look at the name. Look, folks, we've said it before, we've said it again. If you want to understand the crackdown on civil liberties, you have to understand the two shadow presidents, Stephen Miller, and again, we talked about it last week, Donald Trump, because he's the world's most helpful supervillain because his brain is leaking and he's impulsive, Russell Vought. Russell Vought is the president of OMB. He is the co-author of Project 2025, a white Christian nationalist. And Donald Trump, last week, what did he do? Embraced Project 2025 in all caps and mentioned who? Russell Vought, and then released an AI video with him and Russell Vought as the Grim Reapers, right? Those are the two people you need to understand. The person who's dismantling America with a pen is Russell Vought, and the person who wants to dismantle America with jackbooted masked thugs is Stephen Miller. Donald Trump is fading. He is in permanent sundown mode. This man is 79 years old. He has cankles. He's made $5 billion off of crypto, which, by the way, should be the biggest story because Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm. Meanwhile, these corrupt mother effers have passed pro-crypto legislation, deregulated, and made $5 billion off of crypto and this stupid meme coin. So he's just chilling and golfing and, I don't know, trying to get it up. I don't know. So who's running the country? Stephen Miller, Russell Vought. And Stephen Miller has had a fascist boner since ninth grade. Ninth grade was when his biographer, well, I don't want to call her his biographer, Jean Guerrero, who wrote a book called Hate Monger. That's when he got radicalized. That's when he came to school and told his Latino friends, we can no longer be friends because you're Latino and I'm white. And that's ever since then, you've seen the videos of him. He's been full-on fascist, folks, since high school, full-on fascist. And now that dweeb, dork, full-on fascist has power. And now you see him. He's like, I always forget the name, even though a Quagmire from the show Family Guys, you know, he's always horny, giggity, giggity. So now he's like in permanent horny mode because he has all the power. And he's been waiting for this, folks, for about 25 years. He's been waiting. So he cannot help but be in permanent overdrive all the time. But he's such a freak. He's such a loser. He's so loathed. He's so despicable, Danielle, that I think the more and more people hear from him and the more and more people see from him, in addition to the egregious conduct and the videos coming out of this assault, zip tying kids, the more they're like, F you. I'm not going to
voted for you.
Yeah, I didn't
no
vote
one
for this
voted
shit.
for you.
Go F yourself.
Right. And so just again, to remind people, why is all of this happening? Why is it all happening so quickly? I don't understand, right? Just as a little reminder, Epstein. So Adelita Grijalva, who won her seat in Arizona, which was formerly her father's seat, Raul Grijalva, who passed away. She won his seat. She is the 218th vote that is necessary in order to begin the procedural. I think it is what is it? Not the release of the files, but it is what is it? It is
that's it.
the procedure to begin the release of the files.
There you go.
And it's a bipartisan push that has been happening in the House, bipartisan push, and they need 218. She has said that as soon as she is sworn in, right, she's ready to rock. So she's not being sworn in because now there is a government shutdown. When Mike Johnson was just asked recently, you've sworn in Republican members during shutdowns and during times when there hasn't been official House meetings. Why aren't you swearing in Representative Grijalva? Oh, we're very excited to have her come and work in Congress. We think that she's going to be, we'll get to it, is what he keeps saying. We'll get to it. And I've congratulated her on her win, and we'll get to it. Because for some reason, he thinks that A, he's going to run out the clock on this, and B, that people are going to forget. But I'm like, the more attention that you bring because you refuse to seat this woman, because you refuse to just let come out what comes out, you are just showing the American people how much you are hiding. That's it. You're hiding. Everyone sees it. Everyone knows it. And to me, I keep saying it over and over again. I'm like, they have, what was it? They have absolutely Streisand this entire situation. They could have released the files. They could have just, said, we'll let the public decide. We're in power, but we'll let the public decide. But they haven't. They've doubled and tripled down. They create all modes of distraction that are violent, that are heinous, that are gross. But it always, like a fucking boomerang, comes back to Epstein.
They would rather literally have martial law and National Guard troops on the streets than release the Epstein files. And folks, they're desperate because before the shutdown, she was in DC. Representative Grijalva said, hey, man, I'm here. Just swear me in. And they still refused to swear her in. And remember in August, what did Mike Johnson do? Hey, let's have a vote on releasing it. Instead of having a vote on releasing it, instead of risking it, you know what we'll do? We'll shut down early. So this is how desperate they are. And then you have to ask yourself, why, oh, why are they unwilling to release the files? And it's because Donald Trump and other influential men are all up in it. And recently, what we found out is Elon Musk is named in it. And so is billionaire Peter Thiel.
They're all like, let's just understand. I'm going to say that I am going to assume everybody is in the Epstein files until they're released.
That's right.
Because there is no good goddamn reason. Again, the man is dead, right? And his victims are still seeking justice. There's no reason not to release these files, right? It's because this is the party that protects pedophiles. You have seen it over and over again. A pastor just going to jail for 6 months for raping a 12-year-old girl. This is a MAGA pastor.
Well, not just a MAGA pastor. He was Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. You're forgetting that. He was Donald Trump's spiritual advisor who just got handcuffed and is only spending 6 months in jail for raping a minor. It was like, what was it? 6 years, but it got like shortened to 6 months. And this dude was literally promoted as Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. And I have no idea why this isn't leading the news.
Because it never does. So to bring it back, now this morning, Gavin Newsom, he's suing Donald Trump for the deployment of the National Guard. He is also, so far now, Donald Trump is being sued by the state of Illinois. They have just, Pritzker has just announced that he is filing suit. Joining in the lawsuit is Oregon and now California. So again, more and more states are aligning together and doing what needs to be done. And in the meantime, what is Trump doing? This kind of shit. Take a listen. I won't play it for long, but take a listen to him. And also, again, holding on
also,
to
Danielle, as of 2 hours ago, Illinois and Chicago are suing.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I said. Illinois
sorry, my
is
bad,
joining,
my bad.
joined California and Oregon, and they're all suing. Take a listen to him.
No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone? And I get a call from the liberal governor, "Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you." I said, "Well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control."
So again, I won't force you to listen to Donald Trump, but I will show you how dangerous Portland is, because I think that it's really important for you to see exactly what Portland looks like. And I feel like Donald Trump forgets this thing called the internet. Portland. But
I mean,
what has happened?
that explains the trauma of all those World War II veterans who came back with as amputees. I mean, they had to endure that.
But what is actually happening in Portland since ICE has shown up in their militarized gear is that I actually want to show you this clip, and I'm going to preface it by saying it is violent. But so take a moment. If you don't want to see, then don't, because it's a violent image.
They created.
Oh shit.
I saw you last time.
Unarmed young woman doing
Unarmed,
nothing,
talking. They have gas masks on. They have all
surrounding her.
things.
Look at her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What was the reason for that?
None.
Did
Nothing.
she provoke them? Was she yelling? Was she pointing? Was she wielding a weapon? No. A white woman, and this is what I always consistently will say, white women voted for Donald Trump again in 2024 in increased numbers than they did in 2020. White women think that they will consistently be safe. And I give you this image, right? Young white woman, and she was coughing, spitting out for several minutes after this, because the amount of mace that she fucking took in, right? And again, she didn't have a gas mask on. She didn't even have like a little mask on. She had nothing. That is what violence looks like.
And people are seeing, look, folks, you remember you might not remember, but in the 60s, when America, racist ass America that was perfectly fine with segregation, saw unarmed, peaceful black folks, women, children, young men being hosed, being beaten with dogs unleashed upon them. That's when the humanity of a lot of white folks in America was like, whoa, 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 this is too much, right? And so many people had to put themselves on the front lines when it comes to the civil rights movement, right? So many allies themselves, they got their skulls cracked, literally. John Lewis, for example. There's something about seeing the violence. There's something about seeing the violence come home. There's something, Danielle, and I'll say it, about seeing your own tribe get maced and beaten down, that finally, if you will, sparks that empathy that was perhaps dormant or in neutral. It sparks like a drive within you that says, whoa, 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 enough of this. And now you're seeing white folks, like we warned, that 79-year-old white man violently thrown to the ground, right? That video we've seen. You've seen these white folks in Portland and Chicago getting maced. You saw a white officer in Chicago getting tear gas. So ICE is now tear gassing freaking police officers. There was another video that I saw. They just were stuck in traffic, and they were just pissed that they were stuck in traffic. So they just decided to throw.
No. I got it.
You got that one?
I got it.
Oh, Tom.
Because I think that but I just want to tee it up and I'll show and I'll.
So they were stuck in traffic. It's Chicago traffic. There's a video of this. The tweet that Danielle has brought up. Right, you're looking at the video. If you see the video, folks, I recommend you see it. Nothing's happening. They're just annoyed that they're stuck in traffic. So you know what they do? They throw a tear gas out in a crowded street. A 2-year-old in a stroller gets tear gas, has to rush to the emergency.
Fuck you, you fuckers! Fuck you! Fucking bitches.
Tear gas sucks, folks. I've been tear gassed in Turkey. I do not recommend it. Tear gas, oof. And that's only if you even get a little bit of it. But if you're like stuck and got nowhere to go, man, it hurts.
This is another video. This is showing the fact that actual Chicago police were out and they were suffering from the effects of the tear gas.
They don't give a fuck about you either. Why are you protecting them?
And you hear people saying they don't care about you either. Why are
Straight
you
up
protecting them? Like they don't care about you. They don't care about anything. And those are facts, right? Because they think that they are superior to everyone else. And it is incredibly, incredibly crazy. What is happening at the hands of these ICE officers who, by the way, Stephen Miller also said, you are quote unquote unleashed.
There you go.
Police officers, you are unleashed. You get to cause as much harm. You get to cause as much violence as you would like. So on top of which, folks, as we run through the rest of this, you know that it has been announced that Bad Bunny is going to be performing at the Super Bowl, which I think was a really good pick. And a really good pick. I know nothing about his music.
No, he's a good musician, good performer.
I know that he's a good musician, but I know everything about his activism, which is why I like him. And so he was on SNL over the weekend and said, especially all of the Latinos and Latinas in the world here in the United States who have worked to open doors. It's more than a win for myself. It's a win for all of us. Our footprints and our contributions in this country, no one will ever be able to take that away or erase it. But what are they trying to do with Bad Bunny? Megyn Kelly has said it's a middle finger to MAGA because I don't know what kind of hoedown she would like to have at the fucking Super Bowl, but they don't own culture, right? Like that's also the thing. MAGA does not own culture. So I don't know what kind of bootleg performance they would have liked to put together with Kid Rock and I guess somebody else. But what's really important is how fucking stupid and racist these people are. Puerto Rico is a part of the United States.
They don't know that, Danielle. Seriously, a lot of them have no idea.
And Puerto Rico, Spanish speaking, right? Basically a colony of the United States. They have decided that they are going to have ICE agents at the Super Bowl because Bad Bunny is performing. Now, let me break down something that is very easy to say. Ain't nobody that is undocumented that is working an hourly fucking job going to nobody's fucking Super Bowl. You're not even going to go into the area where the Super Bowl is being held. Do you know why? Because the drinks themselves, a fucking beer is like $35, right? You are not, no one poor, right, is going to the fucking no one middle class is going to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, I think the cheapest fucking ticket is like $5,000. Okay, and that is not the cost of you getting there, the extraordinary hotel prices, etc., etc. So the idea that they're going to release ICE at the Super Bowl, thinking that they're going to scoop up what? Puerto Rican citizens, right? Like citizens of these United States that happen to be Puerto Rican. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But here's what they said. There is nowhere you can provide safe haven to people who are in this country illegally, not the Super Bowl and nowhere else. We will find you and apprehend you and put you in a detention facility and deport you. Know that this is a very, very real situation under this administration, which is contrary to how it used to be, said Corey Lewandowski and a bunch of other hot shit that I don't feel like going.
Folks, Tommy Lahren was pissed off because Bad Bunny speaks Spanish. And I swear to you, in a clip that's gone viral with a debate or conversation with Crystal Ball had to remind her that Puerto Rico is a part of America and they are American citizens. She had no idea. They are upset that Bad Bunny is brown-skinned, Puerto Rican, and proudly speaks Spanish. They are showing their racist ass in front of the world. They have taken the masks off. And furthermore, as we have always said, you know, there's like the line from this classic old Marlon Brando movie called The Wild Ones, where he plays like a young rebel and the adult asks him, what are you rebelling against? And he turns at him and he looks, and the famous line is, what do you got? MAGA is, what are you angry about this week? What do you got? Notice, Danielle, Charlie Kirk was murdered 3 weeks ago. Gone from the news. Notice after it was basically, I think they realized Tyler Robinson was not a lefty. Gone from the news, as we predicted. Joshua Johns, the 29-year-old white guy radicalized online who shot the ICE vehicles, gone after it was shown that, oops, another freak, 4chan radicalized online white guy with guns. So now they've moved on to Bad Bunny, right? Bad Bunny, Black Little Mermaid, M&M's, Colin Kaepernick kneeling, LeBron James. Like it's perpetual rage, perpetual anger. They're so miserable. Anger is their natural state. Pure, like, just be happy for once. They can't be happy.
They can't.
And my question for you, Danielle, real quick, is white supremacy is destructive. As we have seen in 8 months, it's self-destructive. Eventually, they need to eat because they're human beings. How long will hate sustain them? As the economy is going to shit, as soy farmers are killing themselves, as grocery prices have gone up, as meat prices have gone up, as people are no longer coming to America, how many weeks can they sustain themselves purely on hate?
They can't. That's the thing, is that what you begin to realize is how fucking miserable these people are. You have not met like a happy person that is a part of this regime. I mean, when you look at Marco Rubio, like his soul, he is so empty and dead inside. You look at Stephen Miller, you look at the bobblehead Barbie that goes in front of the White House press corps. You look at all of these people, they are absolutely miserable. And guess what? Like, rage is not a sustained emotion. It's exhausting, it's debilitating, and eventually you'll crack. And so that's, again, part of the ramp up, is that they are bleeding support from their followers. You have the farmers getting on TV talking about the fact that they've sent $20 billion to Argentina to bail out Argentina's government and economy. And Argentina is, guess what? A competitor for what? The fucking soybeans.
And China...
And China took all of their money, spent zero this season, and went to where? Brazil, right? Because China, of the tariffs.
China's like, oh, you want to F us? Oh, you want to impose tariffs? Oh, you think we're screwing you? Oh, you want to do a trade war? Okay, dumbass. We're going to buy all of our soy from Argentina and Brazil, zero from US, and now soy farmers are killing themselves. And now we will have to bail them out again.
And so last week, just to wrap up quickly with these final two stories. Last week, we were talking to you about white moderates, right? And how white moderates are who Martin Luther King, as well as Malcolm X, told us about 60 years ago. And I just also like to say, it isn't just white moderates, right? Because Van Jones again.
Danielle has Van Jones stories, by the way.
And I have my own personal Van Jones stories because I really, like 20 years ago, I respected Van Jones. Van Jones came and spoke at the first ever event that I put on Capitol Hill on environmental education, because at that time he was running Green for All, which was like the blueprint for environmental justice. As Van Jones began to make bigger and bigger moves, and he would land in the Obama White House, and then he was thrown out of the Obama White House because the MAGAs came for him, he quickly shed his progressiveness all in service to a fucking check. And he has been doing a jig ever since. And it is so disgusting. And there are other things that I could say about him, but they're not relevant to the politics of the thing. But he's a sleazeball. Let's just say that. So he gets on Bill Maher's show. Bill Maher, fucking racist. Bill Maher, fucking Islamophobe. Like, just disgusting. And I don't know if I have this video. Let me see if I do have it.
I hope you do, because I think the video is worth showing.
Yes. Okay. So here is the video of him on Bill Maher trying to do what? I'm not sure. But I'm going to play it and you guys tell us what you hear.
Isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, right. Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically the whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
That view is not.
So, Waj, I'll let you go first.
That was disgusting. Van Jones, if you go back to the image, can you go back to the image real quick? We don't have to play the video. Van Jones, see that yellow ribbon he's wearing? That's the Release the Hostages video ribbon. Van Jones has spoken for ADL. Van Jones has gotten a lot of money from Bezos, billions, actually, millions, excuse me. Van Jones to this day has not called it a genocide. Notice that Van Jones never mentions Israel. What do you say? It's all about Iran and Qatar.
He doesn't even mention fucking Russia. And I'm like, and
doesn't talk about the genocide, doesn't talk about the occupation. And notice how he performs. He performs, and notice he also talks about TikTok. After we're going to talk about how this is all connected to some other breaking news that we've talked about for a while. And notice that these are all the talking points of all the pro-Israel right-wing billionaires, right? It's TikTok, it's social media, it's Iran, the young kids, it's woke. No, it's Israel's genocide and occupation. Tomorrow is the second anniversary of October 7th. Since that terrorist attack, more than 65,000 people, Palestinians, have been killed by Israel. The number's probably larger. There's phase 5 starvation. There's an ethnic cleansing campaign. The International Scholar of Genocide experts have called it a genocide. Human Rights Watch has called it a genocide. Amnesty International, B'Tselem, right? We've seen it in front of us. And Bill Maher, I've been telling y'all, white moderates and establishment whites and establishment liberals for 20 years, most of them are saying Bill Maher is a piece of shit. And let me just vent for 30 seconds. We were told by white Democrats, you're whining. Oh, he hates all religions. Get over it. You know what? But he does some good stuff, doesn't he? And we're like, y'all don't realize he isn't your ally. Oh, now just let it go. Let him be racist against Arabs and Palestinians and Muslims. It's fine. They turned a blind eye to it. Thomas Friedman, same thing. For years, minimizing and dehumanizing Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims. The last 2 years, he realizes, okay, it's getting bad. It's not because he cares about Palestinians. He realizes it's bad for Israel and Jews, right? When it came to MBS, the killer, right, the butcher, the leader of Saudi Arabia, Thomas Friedman, in a kind of viral Aspen clip, said, I don't give an F. So what? If he's going to modernize, let him modernize, right? And then you get Van Jones, the biggest disappointment on earth. And it was so bad, and he knew that he effed up, that he apologized. And even in his apology, I don't know if we have the tweet, he couldn't apologize. Danielle.
So his apology, Van Jones, now that he gets all this pushback from that and I don't know what people were clapping at. I don't know what they thought was funny, because let me tell you something. Dead babies, not funny.
Nope.
Sean Diddy Combs, who has been convicted of trafficking women and is a sexual abuser and assaulter, nothing funny about that.
Nope.
So I don't know what kind of depraved people are in that audience, but whatever. So this is Van Jones' apology. Yeah, I messed up on this one, and I'm sorry. I was trying to raise awareness about foreign adversaries creating chaos online, which is undermining democracy everywhere. But what I said was easily misunderstood, and the way I said it was flat out insensitive. Babies are dying every day in Gaza. Nobody should dispute that fact or make light of it in any way. To the people living in fear and burying family members every day of all ages, I apologize. He gets partly ratioed on this. Then another one. I made a comment on Real Time with Bill Maher about the war in Gaza that was insensitive and hurtful, and I apologize. The suffering of the people of Gaza, especially the children, is not a punchline. I'm deeply sorry it came across that way. What's happening to the children in Gaza is heartbreaking. As a father, I can't begin to imagine the pain their parents are enduring, unable to protect their kids from unimaginable harm. I'm praying and working for an immediate end to this war and for peace and safety for every family caught in its path. I'm truly sorry for the pain my words caused to people who are already suffering more than anyone should.
Who is burying their babies? Palestinians. Who is killing those babies? Israel. Notice, never mentions both of those statements in 2 Twitter posts and on Bill Maher. Notice that? Mm-hmm. Israel's not to blame. He punted to Iran and Qatar, and he didn't mention the word Palestinians. Look at what they make you give. Was it worth it, Van Jones? How much more money do you need?
Yeah, because he has hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we'll close out today, folks. I know that we go over on Mondays because it's just so jam-packed over the weekend. But I think that this is important because what we are seeing right now as it pertains to the attitudes towards Israel and Palestine have been shifting and shifting dramatically. And the biggest shift that we're seeing is from Democrats over 50, which is huge because that is the age of the younger side of the age of establishment Democrats. And this is, and as somebody said, not college kids on TikTok, by the way. This is adults. Negative views of Israel have risen in the United States. U.S. adults in 2022, 42% had an unfavorable view. Now it is up to 53%. 53% of adults in the United States have a negative view of Israel.
And over the weekend, the latest poll came out that a majority of American Jews are against Israel's war, calling it a genocide. Against the occupation, right? And then last month it came out that young Jewish voters in New York are going for Mamdani because of his views on Gaza, not in spite of. So it's the white evangelical Christians and the Republican base and the Democratic establishment that is still for Israel right now. And folks, bring it all together. Some breaking news that connects it. Notice Van Jones very specifically went after TikTok and social media. This isn't new. The establishment class has been attacking TikTok for the past 2 years, including Democrats. Mitt Romney openly said it. Why? Because TikTok, right? It's global, it's young, and overwhelmingly vis-a-vis TikTok, a young generation has seen a genocide in real time, which has radicalized them against Israel. So the defenders of Israel want to control that narrative, clamp it down. Notice he didn't blame Israel. What did he blame? TikTok and the algorithm, Iran and Qatar. Well, just today, about 2 hours ago,
Is this the Paramount story?
Barry Weiss has officially been brought on to be some ombudsman of CBS News. David Ellison, the Nepo baby, the son of the on-again, off-again richest man on earth, Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison, hard-right, pro-Trump, pro-Israel Zionist billionaire, the single largest private donor to Israel. He has now bought out TikTok. His son, David Ellison, has bought Paramount CBS. And now Larry Ellison wants to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which will give him HBO and CNN. That David Ellison overpaid Barry Weiss's Free Press, a blog that should have been worth, I don't know, 25 million, overpaid it to the tune of 150 million. Barry Weiss, who's been always discredited and mocked and ridiculed everywhere she goes, she is a fitna, as they say in Arabic, an unrest, has now been brought on and sent her first email to CBS News employees. I will adhere to journalistic integrity. They say that, and by they, I mean New York Times Profile said that Barry Weiss listens to David Sachs, another billionaire, the head of Trump's AI czar, also part of the PayPal South African oligarchy. And guess what, folks? She's been brought in for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. Number one, do the bidding of the oligarchy that hate the rest of us, finally using our voice on different platforms to mock them and ridicule them. And they also hate the woke. So that's number one. Number two, to run interference for Israel and crush any pro-Palestinian voice, which is what Barry Weiss has been doing since college. And now she is effectively running CBS News. Danielle.
So I will close out with this today, folks. This is why independent media is extraordinarily important. This is why it matters that you all subscribe, that you like, that you comment, that you help the algorithm, that you help people like us be able to spread our messages far and wide, because there will come a time when every single one of these places is gobbled up, where YouTube is purchased, which just gave $24 million to Donald Trump and to the administration because they pulled Donald Trump off of YouTube following the insurrection, and he sued. So we know that these platforms do not stand for long anymore because the rest of the oligarchs use us as their giant monopoly board, and they buy up the pieces, they water down the information, or they spread disinformation to keep us less organized. So a lot of what it is that we are doing right now is going to change over the coming months, over the coming years. You need to be able to organize in person. You need to be able to organize outside of these platforms. This is why I say for both Waj and I, subscribe to our Substacks. Why? Because it allows us to actually have your email addresses. Your email addresses, if in fact we're pulled off of those platforms or blocked off of those platforms, guess what? We can still find a way to reach you. But places like YouTube, which I say subscribe as well, but Substack right now allows us to be able to have the access to our followers, right? So that we can move from place to place, because you are seeing you don't stay in places forever because they're bought out by the oligarchs who flood them with Nazis, who then change the algorithm so voices like ours do not reach mass places. So continue. I appreciate each and every single one of you, as does Waj. I want to go through our super stickers. Ernst, as always, Joe, Conway, Barb, as always, Susan, you gave so much today. Greatly appreciate you. And thank you for your constant moderating. Robert E. Schwartz, as always. Inferno. Spring coming in big as you.
Awesome. Thank you, Spring.
Thank you so much. Kai, Blue Lady, Jimmy, Jules, Farkonda, K Panda from Canada, Susan again, Demetrius, Violet, Claire, Snow, Spring again, Tracy, and Susan again for the overtime fee, and K Dub. Every single dollar that you all contribute allows us to be able to bring you news and information with integrity and passion, because we're not controlled by anyone but ourselves. So
we have 2,000 people watching on my Substack right now. We got 2,000 people watching on YouTube and Twitter. And we got people watching on Danielle's Substack as well. So it's a huge audience for us, especially on a Monday. We're growing. Thank you all so much. Like Danielle said, we're completely independent, which is why I look so tired. Danielle doesn't. Black don't crack. Danielle always looks good. She hydrates. She puts on lotion. I'm like, Danielle, how was your weekend? She goes, I rested. And I'm like, what about you, Waj? I'm like, I tried to rest. And then Danielle always reminds me we're the same age, but I look like I age horrifically. And Danielle's aging like fine wine. But we still work all the time. Danielle has a YouTube channel. We're trying to get her to 50,000 subscribers. I have a YouTube channel, but go to subscribe to Danielle's first. Danielle's also at Damn Digest. For the 4,000 people who have tuned in right now, we're going to have this conversation up later.
Yes.
So don't worry. Free, no paywalls, with a transcript. If you joined us late, we bring the receipts. It's at Damn Digest and the Left Hook. Please become subscribers. If you have a bit of money, go give it to Danielle. If there's a little bit left over, give it to me because I have 800 kids. If not, subscribe. Everything is free. Even our YouTube channels are free. The comments are free because we're terrible capitalists and we want you all to be informed. We want you all to be informed, folks. Claire says, I must moisturize. I discovered something called lotion. I went to a dermatologist and she's like, what lotion do you use? I'm like, what's lotion? And then you ever see like an adult look at you with pity and sadness?
Yes.
Yeah. But like.
Do you know what I'd like you to do? I would like you to go to Kiehl's for Men, which is like this wonderful men's line, nice moisturizer, nice, all of those things. Waj needs to start taking care of himself, folks. He refuses. He thinks that he can just work himself to death. And I get on him every week about taking care of himself and resting and taking days off. We know that your work and your voice is so important. So please do tell people the 11,000 interviews you'll be doing today.
In 4 minutes, I'm talking to Allison Gill, who's also a masochist. We're going to be talking about the resistance. And then at 2 p.m., 2 p.m., Jen Budd. And Jen, Danielle, I want her on your show. Jen is a whistleblower, a woman who was part of the Border Patrol for 6 years and then quit. And she brings all the receipts. She knows how ICE works inside and out. She is a fantastic resource. I had her on 2 weeks ago and people were like, man, that was eye-opening. She is like an open book. She says it all. So I'll connect you with Jen.
Please.
And we'll try to have her on either democracyish, but I really think you should talk to her because if you want someone to know how ICE works, the Border Patrol works, the corruption, the racism, the code, the fraternity, Jen's the one. And so I have Jen back on at 2 o'clock.
All right. All right, folks. And the Danielle Moody Show will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern. So go over to Waj's Substack, The Left Hook, right now for his conversation. And then I will see you guys back here, 5 p.m. Eastern. As always, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And don't be a fascist. Democracy-ish midweek will be on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern on Substack. See you then.